the phrase is, if you learn these skills, we'll be able to put you into an airplane, blindfold you, kick you out into any market in the United States, land, and within 30 to 60 days, you'll be up and running, producing.
All right, guys, today I'm here with Jason Wang, who I've got to meet through the Side Network, and he owns his own firm in South Carolina, and I'm excited for him to share his value and also how he's grown his business from a brand new agent to last year. Jason, you did about 50 million production, right?
Correct. Yeah. As a company collective.
Awesome. And I think what will be helpful is if you could share, are you still in production? Like, what are your primary things you do? But let's start with your journey, and then we'll get to, last year's production and how that came to be. So can you share with us a little bit about when you started your journey, and then as you went through the journey to today?
Yeah, for sure. So my journey really started as far as real estate goes from podcasts just like this. So I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to be on here and add any value that I can to you and your audience and anybody out there that's watching this to hopefully help them in their real estate career some way. So I was living in Minnesota, trying the different entrepreneurial businesses and opportunities. My main thing was I was a boutique personal trainer, but on the side I was trying to figure out some marketing things, some multi-level marketing and direct sales things, just figuring out how to be an entrepreneur at the end of the day. And as I was going, I was obviously stumbling and failing a lot. And one day my grandpa sat me down at a restaurant, and he wrote down. He was asking me, like, what are you going to do, all this stuff. And I was clearly kind of lost in my direction, but figuring it out. And he wrote down on a little napkin, $300,000 a year selling real estate. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I agree with the 300,000. That sounds good. And I was probably, 20, 21 at the time. I was like, that sounds good, but I don't know about the whole real estate thing. And I kind of put it to the side, and then it lingered for a little while. And then one day, maybe a year later, I decided that I was going to go into real estate. I was really good at sales. I had done a lot of different sales trainings and internships and things like that. And at any little job that I had, whether it was front desk at Massage Envy selling memberships, selling retail, or selling personal training, I was really good at sales and communication. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to give this real estate thing a go. So I started to research and scavenge the web for anything that I could find that would help me be successful in real estate, because I knew that there was a high failure rate and I was not going to be one of the statistics. If I was going to do it, it wasn't I'm going to dip my toe in, I'm going to give it a shot, I'm going to give it a try. It was, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be very, very successful at it. So I just went crazy looking for any YouTube videos, things that I could find, and started to put together a business plan. And then I actually stumbled across Greg Harrelson's Level Up podcast and watched all those videos, took a bunch of notes, and that his type of coaching and training was very different than a lot of else what was out there, and I liked it. And he had a lot of posts about his success stories with agents, and basically after watching enough of those, I was like, I'm just going to go move down there wherever he is and have him coach me and do whatever he says for 12 months. Because like any new entrepreneur that's trying to figure things out, we always kind of think that we know the best way to do things or a better way of doing things. That's why we're entrepreneurs, is we're more innovative. But I realized, like, hey, I got to really just do whatever somebody says for 12 months until I have a good understanding of it. And then if I want to innovate, I can. So I sent him an email. I was like, hey, here's my situation. In 30 days, I'm going to move down. I'm going to take my licensing, and then you're going to coach me to do 55 transactions my first year. So with about $8,000 in my bank account, I moved across the country to a place that I knew not a single person, got my license. I started learning all the scripts while I was in the licensing courses, learning about the business, everything like that. And then I got my license, hit the ground running. I put up some pretty good numbers. I I got my license on a Monday, and probably about a week or two before getting my license, I actually started making some calls. I got my license Monday. By Wednesday, I had my first listing. My first 55 days, I signed 22 listings. And then my first 10 months, I closed out about 43 sides, and had about 20 active listings, and then decided to change markets. And then I moved from Myrtle Beach to Charleston, South Carolina. Went through some, what I would call some tough times mentally, was not in a good mental place at all. And so from like May till October of 2019, I didn't really work at all. I tried to work. I hate that word, but I would show up, work for an hour, and then go just sit at the beach with my dog and do basically nothing productive for multiple months. And then October, I got serious again and really started to work. And then that following year, 2020, I think I did like 55 transactions for about 20 million, while working 20 to 25 hours a week. And I took like 12 weeks of vacation during that year as well. So, and it wasn't by design. At that point in time, it was because I still wasn't in a good mental headspace. And so I had bigger goals, but I wasn't putting in the work. I wasn't being as consistent as I should. I was kind of escaping my life by traveling and doing all these things. And so it definitely wasn't intentional for my business to be pretty healthy without having to slave for it. But that's what that year kind of gave me a foundation of going, wow, I did something pretty decent without having to put in the necessary hardcore work that most people would consider you have to do in order to get there. And I was like, there might be something here. And that led me to this thought process of how do I accomplish more without necessarily doing more, but maybe even doing less. Like most people just associate the more you want to do, or the more you want to accomplish, the more you have to do. And I started to think there might be a better way here to actually accomplish more without doing more. And that led me down a real business building journey instead of a salesperson journey. Because the reality is, as a salesperson, it is true. If you want to accomplish more, you just have to do more. But as a business person, right, that's where you get leverage. That's where you're able to actually accomplish more without necessarily doing more. And so I just went on this aggressive hunt for the best information, the best coaching, the best training, masterminds, everything I could think of. I was just getting into rooms and watching every YouTube video. Going back to what I did when I first got into business was watching every YouTube video, learning notes, like implementing, failing, until I got to would have been January of 2022 when I decided to launch the brokerage. And so I got with some partners, and then we officially launched the brokerage in basically June 27th of 2022. We launched the brokerage. It was myself, a listing partner of mine, a buyer's agent of mine, and then my two business partners and one other agent who decided to give us a shot and start with us upon launching. So we launched June 27th. Since then, we have brought in 30 agents with another 5 in the onboarding process. And that's where we're at.
Amazing story. And one thing I wanted to notate is I did not have the start you did. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be curious, like start as in before you got licensed, you were on the phones, and within, the first couple of weeks, it sounds like you hit relatively good stride, over 20 plus listings. I guess, what's the difference between someone that has a slow start and someone that might be, might have experienced what you did, which is pretty quick success and validating success?
Yeah, I think environment is number one. And so if you're in a certain environment, you're going to consider certain things normal, and you're going to set certain expectations based on the environment. Because the reality is, if I just went to somebody who's never heard about the real estate industry ever, and I was like, hey, you're going to get started in real estate, they're not going to know what to expect from a transactions or volume expectation. They're not going to have certain ideas of what's normal for a first-year agent. But what's normal for a first-year agent is just based on what somebody's told based on their environment. And so I happen to have gotten into a really great environment where the expectation for a new agent was just so much higher than anywhere else or most other places. And so I was able to see what was possible. And because I'm competitive, is I said, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to set the new standard. I'm not the kind of guy who is like, okay, that's the standard, so maybe if I just shot for half of that, like that would be considered successful. I go into anything and I'm like, I'm going to set a new standard here, right? And so to come out of the gates with more traction or success, it starts with the environment, but then the next thing is the mindset. Is how do you view those expectations, and then how do you view yourself and your capability and your commitment is what I would say is the differentiators.
Thank you for that. And one thing that you had shared with me that you didn't share during your journey is that you actually moved markets as well. So you had to basically restart your career. How difficult was that? And I mean, clearly you trusted your skills to be able to do that. And what was the reason behind the move?
So the difficulty is dependent on your skill sets, right? And it also goes back to your beliefs, right? And so when I moved the first time from Minnesota to Myrtle Beach, I knew nobody. I didn't know the neighborhoods. I didn't even know if I was in a neighborhood, somebody would mention a landmark and I had no idea what the landmark was, right? So I really knew nothing when I moved to Myrtle Beach. And your ability to change markets comes down to your skill sets and communication and your skill sets of generating business. And so I had, pretty high skills when it comes to making the phone calls and calling expired listings or for sale by owners or cold calling, right? And if you know how to do that, if you understand the fundamental skill of generating business, is you can go to any market and get up and running pretty fast. At least that's what I was taught. So I was just brainwashed to think that, hey, if you learn these skills, you can, the phrase is, if you learn these skills, we'll be able to put you into an airplane, blindfold you, kick you out into any market in the United States, land, and within 30 to 60 days, you'll be up and running, producing, right? That's what I was taught. So I learned those skills. And then because I was maybe brainwashed into believing that, is when I came to Charleston, I just did it.
Got it. And, skill playing a very important factor. One of the questions that I typically ask people to join us here is, what's the number one quality you look for now that you're team building and you're recruiting, but maybe you had in yourself as well that, factored the most into your success?
Coachability.
And how do you identify that?
When I mean coach, you can identify it, number one, by asking them about situations that they've had in their lives in the past where they've been in a coach-student kind of role, whether it's sports and athletics, whether it's, another job that they were in where, they had somebody teaching them and it was their job to go execute, right? Is asking them questions about that. But the number one identifier that I have from agents who are coachable is one phrase that they will say, and that is, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So I know when somebody's made the shift from like maybe a little bit of skepticism, usually when I first get introduced to them, to when they're finally at that stage where they're like, okay, I just need something different and clearly I don't know what it is and I need somebody to tell me. And then they go from like, agents will go from like, well, I want you to teach me to do this, but this is how I want to do my business and this is how I want to do things and this is how I believe things should be done, to, dude, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And when I hear that phrase, I know, okay, this person, as long as they can fulfill and stay on the right track, is going to be coachable.
Love that. That's something that people definitely should write down to analyze themselves, or if they're in a position where they're recruiting, definitely should consider in terms of what they look for and how they search for their next agents. Let's go back to your team. You did roughly 50 mil last year, and you grew quite a bit the second half of the year. What does your organization looks like now, and what are your top lead sources?
Yeah, so the second half of the year, we closed and pended 40 million, about 80 deals was that second half of the year. Our organization right now, like I said, we've got 30 agents on the roster. We've got another 4, maybe 5 that are actually in onboarding process. We've got one director of sales. So his role is on setting up recruiting appointments, setting up strategy sessions, building relationships with the other agents in the market, as well as working with our current agents to make sure that they are successful and making sure that they have everything that they need to succeed. And then we've got one of my other business partners who's responsible for operations, kind of day-to-day things like that, setting up, making sure bank accounts are set up and all the day-to-day things of running a business. And then we've got 4 virtual assistants. So one of them is in the content editing and social media post editing positions. Another one of them is a full-on operations manager. So one of our virtual assistants is responsible for creating the SOPs, implementing the SOPs, making sure people are following the SOPs, as well as managing the other virtual assistants. And then he's got a virtual assistant admin that's supporting him now. And then we have one more administrative VA, and then we have a client care coordinator. So that's the bulk of our staff and team right now. And then as far as our lead sources go, expireds, cold calling neighborhoods, for rent by owners, for sale by owners, as well as past clients and referrals is really our lead sources right now. To date, we've spent a little bit on, home valuation leads and things like that. Very, very, very minimal. So to date, we really haven't spent any money on marketing and leads going into the new year because we wanted to build a foundation. So we knew that the market was shifting and changing, and we didn't know exactly how it was going to change, but we wanted to make sure that we were solid. And so we chose to not lead with leads. We chose to lead with a really strong foundation that was really what we'd consider recession-proof, shift-proof, et cetera. And then once we built that foundation, now we're actually going to heavily ramp up into the lead gen space. But to date, we really haven't been. So we're carrying 49 listings right now, another 15 coming to market in the next week as a company. So we're really proud of our ability to be productive without leads, and now the leads are going to be what kind of take us to that next level.
That is amazing to hear and so unorthodox, because many big teams I'm familiar with and I know about definitely buy leads for their team. So I'm gonna be picking your brain a bit on how you've established that culture where people have to fight and find their own deals. You mentioned something about VAs. I'm sure we're gonna get questions about where have you found success in hiring or finding VAs as well.
Cool. So what's the first question?
Yeah. So
is it on VAs or?
Yeah. Where have you found, I guess, your VAs?
So our main platform is onlinejobs.ph is where we found our main operations VA, as well as one of our editors. And then we use Upwork, Freelancer, kind of the other typical ones as well. But now is our operations VA. A lot of the VAs, they're connected via like Facebook groups, the same way us real estate agents are in Facebook groups, right? Masterminds, things like that. So are virtual assistants. And so he's actively looking for talent for us in other areas and starting to build relationships. So that way, as we grow, he'll really be the one responsible for finding and bringing in more talented virtual assistants.
Got it. Thank you for giving that clarity. And let's jump into what you kind of mentioned. You're not buying leads. You're having your agents create them. What are your standards on the team?
Mm-hmm.
How did you instill that in your agents?
So we don't have set standards because the reality is every agent that comes into our company is a business partner. And so every agent has different goals. They have different lifestyles. They have different families. They have different things going on. And so whenever we bring an agent into our company, it's a business partnership where we're going, hey, what is the goal that we're going to go after together? And then what's our current life and schedule and things look like? And then how do we build a business around your life rather than building a business and then trying to build a life around your business? So we actually don't, most people that come and visit our office or see our office, they think that we have like very strict standards. And the reality of it is we don't. We actually don't have any standards. The only standard that we have is that you follow your business plan and you follow your life plan. And so how did we get so productive? Well, it started with leadership. So I still prospect every single day in my office. Now I don't go on many appointments. I will either give them to my listing partner or to other agents in my office, but I'm not going on a lot of appointments now. But I still lead gen every day to show them. To show them that I show up and lead gen every day, but also so that way they can listen to my conversations, they can hear, what I'm saying on the phone and things like that. And at the end of the day is making phone calls is not exciting for most people. It's scary for a lot of people. And most people, quite frankly, just don't think that it works, right? And so when you put somebody into a situation where maybe they're going to have to self-gen business, if they can't see that somebody else is getting results from it, there is no shot that they're going to commit to it. There's very few people that you could just say, hey, go cold call, and they will stick with it long enough to see the results if they're not seeing somebody else actively getting results. So it started with me, and then the next person that it led to was my listing partner, right? So my listing partner is very consistent, getting very good results. He started as my ISA, got licensed in March of this year, and he's listed over 60 properties. So he's in the office every day, and so when we bring other people in, they see that. They can very clearly see this is what he does, this is the result that he gets. They can look at me and go, this is what he does, and these are the results that he gets, right? And then from my listing partner, it led to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So it wasn't like hey, we're going to bring a group of people in and just convince them to do certain activities. It's more of one person at a time is going to be the domino effect to now when somebody comes in is they see a group of people doing certain activities and getting certain results. And so now it goes back to that environment conversation of oh, this is just kind of how good businesses are built, right? And the key to this is that we're not teaching agents how to go out and sell real estate. We're teaching agents how to build businesses and how to build lives. And anybody that's a business person that knows how to go like build a predictable, duplicatable, and recession-proof business for the most part knows how important prospecting is, right? And so the reason why we have a good group of agents who have bought in is because they actually understand how important it is to have those skills and to be able to build a business that way where they're not reliant on a lead source. And so most of the agents are not, I've never told an agent to cold call, actually. Okay, maybe I've told a couple of our agents to cold call. Most of the agents come to me asking me to cold call. And that's by design.
Right.
When most brokerages bring an agent in and they say, you need to cold call, you need to door knock, you need to do all this, that, and I don't do that. I share with them what other people are doing. whether it's open houses, whether it's networking, whether it's leads, whether it's cold calling, whether it's expireds. Like, I share with them the different ways of building a business and some of the pros and the cons of the different ways. And then I start to teach them about the conversations and listing appointments and buyer consults and how to be successful with all of that. And then usually it gets to the point where they're going through their training process, their skill development, their market development, all those things, where they see everybody else doing this activity, right? And getting results, and they're like, oh, damn, maybe I should do that. And then they're the ones that are initiating, hey, when can I start making phone calls? And so I'm actually not here telling agents, hey, you should make phone calls. Now, once it becomes a part of their plan and they decide for themselves that that's the model that they want to build, I will hold them accountable to their plan. But I do not enforce or have standards for agents to do something if they don't want to do it or it does not fit their plan. And that's something that most people would have a misconception of.
Thank you for sharing that. Really good explanation of how you guys do it. And I love the part of, hey, I don't tell you what to do, but here's examples of people experiencing success, and this is what they do. What is your best advice when it comes to new agents or seasoned agents? And who are you recruiting?
Yeah, so we are bringing in a mixture of both, a healthy balance of new and a healthy balance of experience. I've got a gal starting on Monday. She's been on another team. She's selling between 60 and 80 properties a year on the listing side for another team. I'm talking to a couple other agents who are in the 60 plus deal a year mark, even one that's in the 100 plus deal a year mark. And then we've also been bringing in agents who, we're doing 16, 18, 24, even 30 deals a year in different models that wanted something different. And so we help people level up. And so whether it's starting from the ground up and developing them and training them to be top producers really fast, or maybe they've already got a decent business and they want to go to the next level, is we just help people level up, and we meet them where they're at. That's the biggest thing. And so wherever anybody's at, I'm confident that, we can meet them where they're at and add value and really help them level up.
Thank you for sharing that. What's your best investment in 2022, whether it's business or personal?
Myself. I spent a lot of money on myself in 2022 and in 2021. Probably, I think I pushed either close to or over 100,000 into myself between masterminds, coaching, seminars, conferences, books, courses, right? Just a heavy believer in investing into yourself until you are at a point. Like my philosophy is I'm going to continue investing into myself until I'm at a point where it actually doesn't make as much sense to invest into myself because I'm earning so much that you actually physically cannot continue to do it. And then the secondary to that is my business. So I'm investing very, very heavily into myself, very heavily into my business, right? In order to build something really big.
Thank you for that. I think you are absolutely right. The most important investment is in yourself, because your knowledge and how you apply it and how you improve your life in the future, you're going to carry yourself with you. So now my last question is, and I'm sure people are going to be curious as to your moves moving forward. What excites you about the future, and what do you look forward to?
Yeah, so what really excites me about the future is just the opportunity to make a bigger impact. So every day when I wake up, my thought process is always, how do I make an impact today? How do I help somebody get closer to their goals, whether personal, professional, or financial, today? And I'm just really looking forward to doing that for more people and at a deeper level. So a lot of the focus for us is we're looking to purchase existing businesses as well as commercial real estate, and then provide those opportunities to our agent partners, to our clients, to the people in our lives, and really help people, like I said, achieve their personal, professional, and financial goals.
Thank you for sharing that. And do you have a giveaway for anyone listening to this if they want to reach out, or something that you can part with that will help them?
Yeah, so, anybody who's watching this is, I'd be happy to hop on a phone call, send me a DM, send me an email. Always happy to hop on a phone call and mastermind whatever possible value that I could provide, whether it's making a connection to somebody else, whether it's, maybe we're role playing, talking about recruiting, whatever it is. I'm always happy to hop on a quick phone call and go back and forth and mastermind and add any value that I can.
I'm going to have your information, obviously, in the notes, but what is the best way people could find you and connect with you?
Best way is going to be Instagram. Charleston Realtor Jason Wang is where I am most active, and where I still monitor my DMs. Email, I'm not monitoring. Text, I don't really monitor that much, but like Instagram is where it's going down for me right now. So that's probably the best place.
Perfect. And thanks for sharing that. And any last words to provide, inspiration, insight that you feel is important to mention?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just always, the thought process of impossible is only impossible until you do it. And so my driving force is, and whether it's you're looking at an external thing, but for me, a lot of it's internal. Because sure, other people can do things, other people can build certain businesses, other people can do that, right? But what about me? That's what it usually comes down for most people. And the biggest thing for me is overcoming that impossible idea within myself of what I'm capable of, and just always leading with the idea of it's only impossible until I do it. It's only impossible until I do it, and that gives me the confidence and the courage to go out and pursue things that maybe I might not even believe in myself to be able to accomplish, or that other people might not believe is possible.
Thank you for that. And there we have it, Jason Wang giving us the details, the journey. We look forward to seeing you grow in the future, and people are definitely going to reach out to you to take advantage of your knowledge and everything you've learned over the years. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you having me on here. I'm glad to connect with you as always. So looking forward to the next one.
For sure.